Hello everyone. So we are back with another video of economics. In this video, we'll be learning about aggregate demand and its various concepts. So before we proceed on with the video, let's find out what we'll be learning. We'll be finding out the meaning of aggregate demand, consumption function, propensity to consume, saving function, propensity to save, consumption function equations, and saving function equations. So let's proceed. Now, what is aggregate demand? Aggregate in simpler terms means total. Therefore, aggregate demand means the total demand of goods and services which are being planned by the people in an economy. This concept of aggregate demand actually helps in determining the level of income and employment in an economy, which was propounded by Professor J. M. Keynes. He is considered one of the renowned economists of all times. Now, to understand more about aggregate demand, we know this thing that the economy is actually divided into four sectors. The first sector is the household sector, which consists of the consumers. The second is the business sector, which consists of the producers. The third is the government sector. And the fourth one is the foreign sector, which includes the exports and imports. So basically, the demand from all these four sectors is known as aggregate demand. To put into the equation of aggregate demand, we can say that AD is equals to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Here C stands for consumption expenditure done by the household sector, I stands for the investment expenditure done by the business sector, G is the government expenditure, and X minus M refers to the net exports, that is the difference between the exports and imports of foreign sector. This equation of AD is for an open economy. But since our syllabus is confined to only two-sector model, therefore the equation for aggregate demand in two-sector model will be C plus bar I. Here the bar above I indicates the autonomous status of investment expenditure done by the firms. Autonomous means independent, something which is not dependent on any other variable. Now we know this thing that as and when the income increases, the consumption expenditure also increases and investment also increases. But to understand more about the relationship between consumption and income, the investment is assumed to be autonomous. This can also be understood with the help of a schedule. As you can see on your screen, the income increases from 0 to 500, whereas the consumption increases from 40 to 440. The investment expenditure, as assumed to be autonomous, remains constant at every income level. Since AD is a sum of consumption and investment, therefore the value of AD also increases. The most important thing to find out here is that the consumption expenditure was more at a point where income is low. So this point where the consumption expenditure is more and the income is less is known as autonomous consumption, which is indicated by bar C. Another important thing to be noted here is that a point is where income and consumption are exactly equal to each other is known as break-even point. To understand more about aggregate demand in two-sector model, let's understand this through the graph. So initially on x-axis and on y-axis, we plot the income and the consumption, investment and aggregate demand on the y-axis. Now we know that as the income is increasing from 0 to 500, therefore a upward sloping curve originating from the origin is the income curve, which is exactly drawn at a 45-degree angle. The investment is actually autonomous, therefore it will be parallel to the x-axis. Whereas the consumption is originating from above the origin. Why? Because there is a portion of consumption which is not influenced by the current year income. And it is an upward sloping curve indicating that it also increases as and when the income increases. Now since AD is also positive at zero level of income, why? Because of autonomous consumption, therefore AD also starts from above the origin, indicating an upward sloping curve, which again indicates that AD increases with every income level. There is a point where income and consumption are equal. This particular point is indicated by point E, which is known as break-even point. just like we have understood the concept of aggregate demand, there is another term, aggregate supply. So aggregate supply basically refers to the value of total output of goods and services which have been planning to be produced in an economy. Aggregate supply is also known as national income because it is exactly equal to the national income. Therefore, AS is equals to Y. Now we know this thing that when in an economy the income is being generated, the initial portion of the income is spent on the consumption expenditure and the remaining portion of it is being saved. Therefore, an equation of aggregate supply is C plus S. This can also be understood with the help of a schedule here, where you will see that the income is increasing as well as the consumption also increases. But when we look at the saving here, we'll see that the initial part of the saving is negative, minus 40 and minus 20. After that, it becomes 0 exactly at a break-even point. And after being 0, the savings also starts to increase. Since AS is a sum of consumption and saving, therefore you'll see the value of AS exactly equal just like income. Now the initial portion of the savings where it is negative indicates this savings in the economy. This savings means using the previous year's savings or the past year's savings for the current year consumption process when the income is low or 0. This can also be understood with the help of a graphical presentation. Again, on the x-axis we plot the income and on y-axis we plot the consumption, savings and aggregate supply. Now we know this thing that as the income increases from 0 to 500 at a constant rate, therefore it starts from the origin exactly at 45-degree angle. And as we know that the consumption does not start from the origin, why? Because of autonomous consumption, therefore it is starting from above the origin, intersecting at a point which is known as break-even point. From that point, we draw a perpendicular line touching the x-axis indicating that the savings is 0. Since the savings is initially negative, therefore it will start from below the origin and after being 0, it starts to increase. Thus, an upward indicating slope of savings curve indicates that the saving also increases when the income increases. The distance between the origin and the point where the savings start is known as this savings indicated by minus y. Now let's talk about the consumption function. The consumption function is basically a functional relationship between consumption expenditure and income. The propensity to consume here basically means the willingness of a consumer to go for consumption expenditure out of his given income. It is of two types. Average propensity to consume, that is APC, refers to the proportion of consumption expenditure which is done at every individual income level. This can be calculated by C upon Y. That means dividing the consumption expenditure with an individual or corresponding income level. Another type of propensity to consume is marginal propensity to consume, which is MPC. Since marginal means additional or change, therefore, the consumption expenditure changes with the change in income, which is indicated by MPC. This can also be calculated, whereas MPC is equals to delta C upon delta Y. That means the change in consumption expenditure due to change in income. Now let's learn more about the properties of APC and MPC. As you can see on your screen that a schedule is representing the value of APC and MPC. As in when the income is increasing, the consumption also increases. On this very fact, we know that the value of APC is actually 1.2 initially, which is greater than 1. Then it becomes equal to 1 when the income and consumption are exactly equal to each other at break-even point. And after that, the value of APC starts to fall. That means it becomes less than 1. Whereas when we look at the value of MPC, it is constant at every income level. This tells us that the change in consumption is constant at every level, and at the same time the change in income also constant at every level. To learn more about the properties of APC, we'll see that APC is greater than 1 when the consumption is greater than 1. That means at autonomous consumption. when APC is equal to 1 when the consumption and income are equal at the break-even point. APC is less than 1 when the consumption is less than income. That means now the people have started to save or are planning to save. APC can never be 0 because consumption expenditure can never ever be 0. To confine the property of MPC, we simply say that either the value will be 1 or 0, or it will vary between 1 and 0. So, if MPC is 1, it means that the change in consumption is exactly equal to the change in income. But if MPC is 0, then it means that the change in consumption is not equal to the change in income. Now, what is saving function? Unlike consumption function, saving function is also a functional relationship between savings and income. So, propensity to save, again it is of two types. Average propensity to save, which talks about the proportion of savings at a corresponding income level. It can be found out by calculating it S by Y. That means dividing the savings with the corresponding income level. Another propensity to save is marginal propensity to save, that is MPS. It refers to the change in savings due to change in income, which can be calculated as delta S upon delta Y. That means change in savings upon change in income. To find out more about APS and MPS, let's look at the schedule given on the screen. Here, we'll see that as income increases, the savings also increases, but after a certain point. So initially when the savings were negative, the value of APS was also negative. And when saving was 0 at break-even point, the value of APS was also 0. But since after that the saving has started to rise, the value of APS is also increasing, but it is less than 1. When we look at the value of MPS, we'll find that the value of MPS is also constant at every income level. Why so? Because the change in savings is constant at every level and the change in income is also constant at every level. So in a nutshell, the properties of APS can be said as initially it is negative as there is this savings in the economy. APS is 0 when savings is 0, that means at the break-even point. APS will always remain less than 1 as savings can never be equal or more than 1. Talking about the properties of MPS, again just like MPC, MPS value also varies between 1 and 0. So if MPS is 1, it means that the change in saving is equal to change in income. But if MPS is 0, then it means that the change in saving is not equal to the change in income. Now let's talk about the relationship between APC, APS and MPC, MPS. First, APC plus APS is equals to 1. This can be proven with an equation where income is equals to consumption plus saving. So dividing the LHS and RHS with income, we'll find out that when income and income cancels out, it will give you 1, and C upon Y is actually APC and APS is S upon Y. Just like that, the relationship between MPC and MPS can also be studied. Here, MPC plus MPS will give you 1. So, deriving the equation of delta Y is equals to delta C plus delta S. That means change in income is equal to change in consumption plus change in savings. Now, dividing the LHS and RHS with delta Y, we'll find out that delta Y cancels out, giving you 1, and delta C upon delta Y is MPC and delta S upon delta Y gives you MPS. Now, finding about the consumption function equation, it simply says that C is equals to bar C plus BY, where C is the total consumption expenditure, bar C is the autonomous consumption when the income level was 0 or low, B is indicated as MPC and Y is the income. Simply, exactly, the saving function can also be derived as S is equals to minus bar C plus 1 minus BY. Here, S is the savings in the economy which are being planned, minus bar C indicates that is savings, 1 minus B is the MPS and Y is the income. Thank you for watching.